Been a while since we covered the builds for Gley, and with the changes with Serena and all the other descendants that are pushing through content quickly, I thought it was important to touch on the fact that we still have some S tier descendants out there with multiple different builds that are considerably strong and certainly strong enough to rival even Serena or any of the other boss fighters out there. So we're going to dive into Gley. We're going to talk about her bossing build, her mobbing build, and a purge build. We'll start off with the purge build because I haven't covered that before for her. And we'll just talk about some of the other things that have changed in the game as we go through this and some of the choices that you can make with Gley. Without any further ado, let's jump right on in. As I mentioned, we are looking at her Purge build to start with. To go into here in the beginning, let's just talk about the modules for a second. We are starting with Predator Instinct. Using a firearm while frenzied gradually increases ATK, firearm ATK, so this is going to give us plenty of power. All of the Gley builds, these are endless builds. I call it an endless rocket build, but really it's just endless ammo, right? Endless ammo, whatever weapon you're using. In this particular case, we're probably not using rockets that much, but we have the option to do so. You can see from the footage that we're rolling now, you're just able to, whatever gun you're using, continue to reset her third ability to give you ammo for a pretty extended period of time. So this is important for us. What we are looking at here is potentially the importance of cooldown, the importance of duration as well. So let's take a look at the choices that we're making in the mods. The first is max MP conservation, getting a skill cooldown. Minus 36.5%. Now, the hit we take to MP doesn't matter because MP doesn't matter to her at all. We are using focus on dimension, and I've invested in this, but you really don't have to. The reason that I have is obviously for a different build, but this could be an empty mod. It could be any focus mod. Doesn't have to be even a mod that fits her kit, but focus on dimension does fit her kit, obviously. And then focus on non-attribute again to boost that cooldown. That's the whole point of it. So we're not really worried about the skill power that we're getting here, but it does make it where we can use her second ability if we choose, or even her fourth ability while we're in this kit. We're also using Nimble Fingers for that additional cooldown. So we've got MP conversion, Nimble Fingers, and the focus mods to boost that cooldown and give us our third ability so that we're cycling both the duration with maximum duration, giving us plus 40% there as well. And then skill extension giving us additional duration. The whole point here is we're trying to make it where this third ability is has a cooldown of 7.6 and a duration of 9.1, which means we're never going to run out. We can reset it before it ever runs out, before she ever starts to reload, and just continue to cycle it. If you're lucky enough to have an Enzo with you, then you can stick to that and just really blast the content. So this is very good for the Purge. All right, so we'll talk about some of the other choices that we've made to use this as a purge build. But let's also talk about the fact that we're using stem accelerant to give us max HP. We're taking a hit to MP, but again, we don't care about MP. She uses her blood, not the MP, so it doesn't matter. And then increased HP and increased defense just to give us a little bit more survivability. So in Central, these are the mods. I'll uncover it for a second so you can see it. These are the mods that we're using to run the purge, and certainly you could opt in some of this for maybe shot focus if you wanted to. You wanted a little less survivability, a little more DPS. Could put shot focus on there if you wanted to, but I find this to be a comfortable build. If you want to get a little bit more punch, then you could certainly go in that direction. Otherwise, let's talk about some of the other choices that we made here. So we'll head over here first and talk about Arche tuning. In this particular case, we are really focusing on her weapons. We're not worried about her skills. We're not worried about her HP or anything like that. Really just focusing on being able to get as much weapon damage as we can. We don't really need reload. The reload is down here. We don't really need to focus on that. She's never going to reload. So things like weak point damage or enhanced accuracy or critical hit rate and critical hit damage, along with affinity damage is important. So we grab as much of it as we can, and you can see from here that's been our main focus, is just trying to get as much tuning as we can towards additional weapon damage as possible. I went too far. As far as the fellow is concerned, we don't need to worry about ammo. So I am using the health dog in this particular case. That's really the purpose of showing you the animal here for a second. that's a choice that we would make. Get rid of that camera for a second. As far as the reactors are concerned, we are using a non-attribute dimension reactor with skill cooldown. Skill cooldown being the most important thing. Everything else on here is really not that important because we're not really using any skill power to speak of. If we did, we have the hand cannon here. That would be helpful. So if we're running around with a hand cannon and we wanted to pop our second ability or a fourth ability, we'd get the boost to that. But it's really not the focal point of this particular build. Again, cooldown is good. Duration would be good. But these are the two things that you might look for in the reactor. Moving on down, we are using the Annihilation set. We're using it for skill duration for the main part, but also for firearm ATK. Once our health gets below 50%, we're starting to get a huge buff to that. And then once it goes below 50, we'll start to get our health recovery as well. So these are the critical pieces for this particular kit. We are looking at things that give us defense and max HP. We really don't care about MP or shields because she doesn't have any. So the shield recovery out of combat is kind of wasted. The MP recovery modifier is a good thing. I'm sorry, the HP recovery modifier is a good thing. Defense and shield recovery in combat. Again, the defense is good. Shield recovery is not helpful. So the shield recovery modifier and max shield and the lower one is not helpful either. But it is what it is. It's what comes with the set. So in order to get the full benefit of the set, we need to do that. As far as weapons are concerned, in this particular case, I am running with Benevolent. We've talked about the Benevolent in the past. In this particular, it comes rolled with Toxic on it automatically. You can't do anything with that. That's just one of the base stats of the weapon. But I have put Chill on this because we are using this for the level 30. So we've got Chill, we've got Firearm ATK twice, we've got Fire Rate. I'm still working on trying to get that last gold roll on the Fire Rate, and then rounds per magazine. That could be Fire Rate as well, would be beneficial, but because rounds per magazine really doesn't matter to Gley. And then Firearm ATK, Chill, and Recoil. So, okay stat there. In terms of mods, this is the build that we have here. I'm not really going to talk about it because I've covered it before, but we are focusing on Chill with Quick Freeze, Chill Circulation, Snowflake Conductor, Chill Enhancement, Fire Rate up to give us an increased fire rate, Chill Priority, a little bit of weak point boost there because we really don't need any, anything like, ammo capacity or anything like that, and then charge amplification to give us a bit more firearm ATK, action, reaction, and rifling reinforcement was pretty standard there. So this is the build that we're using for that. And then obviously we have the chill version of the Last Dagger. In this particular case, we are again focusing on weak point sight, better insight, better concentration priority, focusing on chill. In her case, ultra precision strike. If we go away from using Gley, we might swap that mod out, and then fire rate up with action, reaction, rifle reinforcement. So pretty straightforward on that as well. So that is the weapons, and that is really the build. We rolled some footage throughout here just to show you the advantage of this particular build. Certainly powerful in the Purge, and she certainly can support and really help out in that Purge environment. I typically run these in groups. I never run it solo, so the play that you saw was in a group activity. But from here, we will take a different turn. We'll go into our presets, and we'll look at the boss build. Then we'll go with the ultimate Gley. No, don't do that. Almost messed it up. From here, we'll look at the ultimate Gley boss build. Let's dive on into it. And we'll again look at the modules to start with. We're using, again, the Predator Instinct. And you could use the previous build that I showed. You could certainly take that into a boss environment. And that would give you a lot more survivability. So if you're going in group play, I would recommend that. But if you're going in solo and you just want to kill them quick, this is a good choice for that activity. Very similar to what we were doing before. We're focusing on making sure that we have as much cooldown as possible. So we've got focus on dimension and focus on non-attribute to give us that cooldown. We've got MP conversion as well as nimble fingers to give us an enhanced cooldown. And then we want some survivability, so we are going with max HP and stim accelerant. Again, the hit to MP doesn't really affect us. Still extension to give us that increased duration. And then we are switching to shot focus here. This is giving us a little bit more DPS. In addition to the fact that we have walk a tightrope, which is going to, when our health goes below 50%, which will happen quite a bit in a boss fight, then our skill power modifier is going to increase, but also the firearm ATK is going to increase by 30%. So as you continue to cycle, if you are in an environment where you're cycling your ability, then you will start to get that health lower, and as you get below that 50%, you will start to do more damage. This is more of a glass cannon build, certainly. So if you're, in a position where you feel like you're not going to have the survivability, say something like the Tormentor, then this is probably not the best choice. Although I am seeing people go in and use this build in the Tormentor and wreck. So really just comes down to your personal preference. What I would say is this build will go through all the bosses very easily, and certainly without hesitation. She can solo this content just like any of the other S tier bossing characters. So she's still a contender in that regard. And I think we're rolling some footage now to show you that. You can see she is just wrecking these bosses without a problem, comfortably. So if you're getting bored with playing Serena, Gley's a good choice, and certainly can hit hard and really, represent the character very well. So if you want to shift, then this is a good shift. Let's talk about some of the other choices that we might make and some of the things that we've changed as a result. Obviously, this is still a weapons platform build, so it's not going to change the Arche tuning that we're using. We're still focusing on weapons in this particular case, so nothing different there. Take a look at that. And then if you look at the dog, the same, we don't care about ammo, so we're using the sheepdog, get us a little bit of health every now and then if we need it. You could just turn the dog off if you wanted to get rid of that. That's there. I didn't talk about the inversion and reinforcement. Obviously, you would want to select the actual type of weapon damage that you're trying to achieve here, based on the content that you're in. So if it's a boss that has chill weakness, then you'd use chill. If it's fire weakness, you'd use fire, so on and so forth. So cycling that would be important. Doesn't have to happen. I mean, you can pretty much run chill on all of them and kill them for the most part. In terms of crit hit, you don't really need this one, so you could probably switch this over to strike amplification for weak point damage. I would say that's probably the best choice for her, so I would focus on using that for Gley. And then depending on the weapon, whether you use this evolutionary cutting mechanism or some other attribute, certainly it's not the aerial maneuvering radar one. So just choose what you want there. When I'm running the Purge, I usually leave this on so that I can use our favorite weapon there. So let's talk about the reactor that we're choosing. We'll go ahead and get rid of this camera to make it a little bit easier to see. We're using the same reactor that we were using before. Again, our focus here is on cooldown. If we had duration, that would be helpful as well. Nothing else really matters unless we're going to use our other skills. We could use our second skill and benefit from the dimension skill boost here if we were equipping a hand cannon or something, but otherwise it's really not going to matter to us. In terms of sets, again, we're using the Annihilation set. This gives us that skill duration boost, as well as giving us some firearm increase in damage when our health gets low. So this is helpful in the boss environment. Again, focusing on things like HP and defense, not so much on shields or MP, because neither one of those matter to us. But we did the best we could with it, and so we've got as much defense and HP as we can get. So that is it for the external component. All right, the mobbing build is a bit of a different animal for her. Let's talk about the modules first. We're using Massive Sanguination, modifies Life Siphon to allow the absorption of life spheres during non-frenzied state. This allows us to press our second ability when we're not frenzied and bring all those life spheres to us and heal instantly. So if you find that your health is low, you simply turn off the frenzied state, hit your second ability, turn the frenzied state back on, and keep going. This allows you to really stay powerful and keep your health level up. So very helpful in this particular environment. We are, in this particular case, using multi-talented as well because we're using our dimension skill quite often. This gives us additional cooldown when it comes to that. We're using Nimble Fingers for the cooldown. We're also using MP conversion for cooldown. Again, we don't care about MP. She uses her blood instead. We are using Focus on Non-Attribute. In this particular case, the skill damage does matter. So non-attribute and dimension are what we're going for because her second ability is a dimension skill, and this is what we're using to damage all the enemies. So you can see in this 400% content that we're rolling now, being able to hit that second ability, increasing that range up to 300%. So we'll be looking at it as 36 meters. We're at 35.3, so almost max. So we're getting the focus here on one, it's the dimension skill, trying to boost that up as much as we can. It's skill power times 230.6% damage, and then skill power plus 10% for the HP consumed. Power on life obtained amount times 3. So this is kind of the frenzied damage, and then the frenzied heal, non-frenzied, obviously the heal, the health recovery amount, max HP plus 5% of per enemy hit. So it's a really effective way to get your health back from that standpoint as well. The range being something that we're going for here, you can see that as we go into amplification control, skill effect range with a boost to max shield, which doesn't really help us one way or the other. Spear and shield, which gives us more defense and increases our skill power, and then stim accelerant and max HP, increased HP, and stim accelerant to give us additional HP, along with skill expansion to increase that range to near the maximum. So if we had range on this reactor, that would be good. If we had a reactor, with cooldown as well, those are the things that we might look for. And we'll talk about the reactor when we go over to it. So I'll leave it off for a second so you can look at the build. I found this very effective for running solo or in group content when you're really just trying to push through it. I've been doing it in a mobbing environment. Makes it a lot of fun. You get to do something a little bit different with your kit rather than being slowed down trying to shoot endless ammo at everything. But you could do that as well in the mobbing environment. So let's go from here and let's talk quickly about what some of the other choices might be. In this particular case, we'll talk about arcade tuning first. So in this case, we are moving over to more of a skill-based tree. And you can see I've gone in some little unique way with the skills, obviously focusing on trying to get the skill effect range and enhance skill cost, reducing that skill cost so we don't use as much of our health, enhance skill duration. We wouldn't get much from the critical hit rate, but critical hit damage is there, so we're trying to get that critical hit damage. Again, we just don't have enough, ability to choose to get the different things. We could, I guess, take, I don't know where we would take it from. We would have to take it from this tree, I guess, if we wanted to reduce and get some critical hit rate. So you could just, for instance, take these two off, add in the crit hit rate there, get a little bit more damage out of it. That'd be an option for you as well. Okay. And then, I guess that's no way of not doing that. As far as the fellow is concerned, again, using the one that's going to give us our health back. Not really worried about ammo too much because we're using our skill. And then the reinforcement, we've already talked about the choices there. Okay, so pretty straightforward from that point of view. All right, so from here, let's talk about the reactor that we've chosen and the component sets that we're using. Move the camera out of the way there to make it a little bit easier. We are using the reactor that is a materialized phase reactor. This is a non-attribute dimension because this is a dimension skill that we're using and our whole kit is non-attribute. So having a non-attribute roll at the bottom there is helping us. We're getting a boost to our non-attribute damage. And then we're getting a skill effect range boost, which gets us all the way out to that 36 meter maximum for the effectiveness of our second ability. As far as the rest of the components that we're using, we are using two different ones. We're using the Frozen Heart 2-piece set to give us non-attribute skill power. Our goal on all these pieces is to maximize HP. We want max HP on every roll that we can. Max shield doesn't help us. Fire resistance is helpful. So any resistance that we could get would be good, and anything that affects HP would be good. Anything with defense would be good, but anything with MP or shields is not going to help us. So that's just unfortunate reality when it comes to Gley. So HP recovery modifier is a good thing. It'd be better if we also had some kind of elemental protection there. And then we have max defense here as well. So we're getting some benefit from that, but the MP recovery is not really helping us. On the last piece there, we've got max HP as a base, and then shield recovery and max shield, which isn't really helping us, but we are getting that skill cooldown, and that is giving us getting us down to around 3 seconds, 3.2 seconds for the user of second ability when the dimension, when multi-talented is not activated. When multi-talented is activated, we'll get it instantly. So this is a big benefit to us, and that's why we've used that particular mod. So that is it for the components. From here, let's go on and talk about the weapons. We are also using Peacemaker, and the reason we're using Peacemaker in this particular build is because of its unique ability. We're using a dimension skill, so it grants the unique ability single reload for peace. When single reload for peace is at max stacks, shooting while aiming rapidly fires all loaded rounds. So if we get to 5 stacks, that's max stacks, then we can, shoot all loaded rounds, and we'll show you the build on that here in a second. Recoil 10%, trigger rate is 100%, so it's always going to do it. Duration is 15 seconds, so we get to just blast for 15 seconds. Max stacks 5, and skill cost 0. Non-attribute skill power is 5%. So this is the big bonus here, right? It's giving us a non-attribute skill power of 5%, non-attribute skill power per stack 9.5%. So we're getting far more damage from our ability while the stacks are there. And then our fire rate is 545. So what this does is essentially empowers your non-attribute skill while you're running around with it in your hand. You're popping your dimension ability. That's what it is. You quickly getting that up to 5. And as long as you just keep popping it, you're good. You encounter a big enemy, then you just shoot this gun into the big enemy's face, get rid of them, yellow bar, ultra, whatever you want to call it. And that will take care of the enemy there. So let's look real quickly at the build. We are using payout, which when we land a weak point hit, makes it where we don't consume any ammo for 3 seconds. So this just allows you to unload some ammo really quickly into the face of the enemy. Just dumps the magazine, and for 3 seconds doesn't charge you anything for that dump. So it's very effective in taking things out. We're using a fire rate concentration to get our fire rate up and increase that firearm critical hit damage. We're using fixed shot to reduce the recoil and increase weak point damage. Action, reaction, and rifling reinforcement, obviously, to give us additional firearm ATK. Insight focus to give us a critical hit rate and firearm critical hit damage, along with better insight and better concentration, and also target detection. So this gives us weak point damage and firearm critical hit damage. So we're just doubling down on crit damage. Just really trying to do what we can to make it as powerful as possible. There's the build very quickly, and from there we can move on and talk about what else. So obviously, we're just having these other weapons here to have something. It's not really a choice. I think we're really going to run around with Peacemaker in our hands in this particular case. So that's going to be our main focus. If you've made it this far, thank you for watching. We are not currently a monetized channel, so any likes, subscribes, and comments are greatly appreciated. If you'd like to support us further, you can go on in the Nexon site, because we are a Nexon creator, and you can support us there by using this creator code. This will support us greatly, so thank you again for that. If you'd like to support us even further, you could go down below. It's one of the links below. You'll find the Humble Bundle link that will take you to some discounted games. That discount will be applied. We will get credit for the sale, but we don't affect the price of any of those games when you do that. Otherwise, thank you again for watching, and we will see you in the next one.